So working through one of the examples with the curves, just to give an idea of, we've done the circles video, the circles and arcs one, but how do you give something a depth? So I've got my corner X here, and I'm just going to start off by doing the base. So everyone should be able to work through this part themselves. So not much gabbing, just keeping the lines nice and light. Let's go for about there. So eventually you should be building up to the sort of speed that I'm doing these sketches at, but I would rather you felt comfortable knowing that your drawings are correct rather than how quickly you've been doing them. I'll maybe go a wee bit longer. And eventually you just get used to gauging it by eye and whether you think it's going to look right or not. Okay, so just to make it show up on the video again a bit clearer, I'm just going to outline some of the lines that I know will be in the final drawing. I'm not going to do this bit at the back because I know that the bit that sits on top of this base will block that out. So obviously this is why it's really important to keep your construction lines nice and light. As you should be able to see on the screen, I have obviously changed the thickness of that. If I wanted to, I could easily take an eraser. I will take an eraser and just lighten that up a wee bit just to tidy it up. Okay, so here I have my base. Now the little bit sits on the top and it sits quite central to it. Because this is a perspective, this gap at the front will obviously be significantly bigger than the gap at the back. So looking at the orthographics, gauging the sort of size that I want, I would say that the front of it is maybe about here. Looking at that gap, I know it has to be smaller at the back, so I would maybe go for about here. Oops. There we go. Again, taking that back to my second vanishing point. Same rule applies going in this direction, so looking at the gap that I've got, I'll probably go for about here. And then the gap at the back, maybe go for about there. And I'll take both of those lines back to the vanishing point. Okay, so now I have got the footprint of the shape, and again, just to make it a bit easier just now, just darken that bottom line in, because that should all be visible in my final drawing. You shouldn't really be outlining until you're completely finished with the drawing. I'm just doing it so it's easier for you guys to see on the camera. Okay, so at the top of this shape, the two corners have been removed, and that is called a chamfer. And I've just realised that's maybe not going back quite as far as I would have liked actually. Just put it to there. So the chamfer is when something is removed at a 45-degree angle. We'll be covering it when we start to do our CAD commands. So it's very difficult to do diagonals in perspective without understanding where something is going. So what we're going to do is, instead of imagining the diagonal corners, is we'll draw it as a full shape and then we'll chop the corners off. So if I take this up just now, take this up, looking at the height of it, trying to gauge what I want. I'm actually going to go slightly above my horizon line, which is fine. Just taking these corners up just now. In fact, just to make it a bit easier, I'll take it significantly above. Okay, so I'm going to say that this cuboid goes here, and I'm taking that back to the vanishing point, and I'll take that one also back to the vanishing point. In order to get my diagonal, I need to take the measurements. I'm going to cut this corner off. So I'm going to come down about this much here. And although this distance and this distance are the same on the drawing, because this is a perspective, I'm not going to come quite as far back. I'll come in a wee bit, and that's that foreshortening. So if I take that line in here, and then what I'm going to do is take this new edge back to the second vanishing point. That line. Okay. And then it's like, well, how do I then find out where it's going on? Now, because this is above the vanishing point, it's quite difficult. So what you would do is you take that corner back to the vanishing point, but we can't actually see it, which is just because of where I've drawn it. And then you would obviously match it up. But because I can't see it, I can just take a wee guess, and I'll just put it in here just now. Okay, if you can see the top of it, if you've drawn it below the vanishing point, you would take that corner back to the vanishing point number 2 and then dot to dot. corner at the back's obviously been chopped off, same thing. So this distance here is obviously smaller at the back, but this corner is in line. So I can take that back to the vanishing point here, and that gives me my diagonal there. Okay, so if I just get my orthographics back up, I will just line this in, just so it's a bit easier to see. This is why I didn't line the back of this in, because it's obviously going to go behind that shape. And I've got something that actually sticks out on the front. Now my other computer is timed out, which has the orthographics on it. There we go. Okay, so on this shape we have got this sort of like the letter D, or a semicircle. The gap between the start of the circle and the end of this and the back in here are both the same. So again, this bit's got to be bigger. It comes quite high up to the top and it comes down a fair bit to the bottom. So I'm going to draw a rectangle that semicircle should fit into. So looking at where it is on the bottom, I would say it probably comes in about there. Okay, so that's going to be the bottom of my circle. I'd say the circle comes out as far maybe as there. And then I would take that one, let's check how far up. So it extends into the chamfer, so let's just take it up to the horizon line, just go for it there. And then it comes back in to about here. Yeah, I think that looks good. Okay, so you should now just be able to make out that I have drawn a rectangle here, and that is where my semicircle is going to fit. Okay, so that is the point, the starting point of the semicircle, and then it'll come around here. So I'm going to find the halfway point about here. Take that back to the vanishing point. And that would show me that this is the center point. So if I was using a compass, this is where I would put the needle, and then I would be like scribing my semicircle. But because it's in pictorial, it's obviously more an ellipse. So now I need to do my corner to corner. Corner to corner. Corner to corner. And this is where it's quite difficult in perspective, because ideally we'd be splitting this into nice even thirds. But remember, as it gets back towards the vanishing point, so really what you should have is a big third and a smaller third. Okay, so all we're looking for is we are looking for a circle to start here, meet here, and meet here. So, and then coming through. So I would sketch it in lightly. Now, with the perspective, the top of it will be quite round, and then it comes round quite steep. So you should now be able to see that I have made out that sort of letter D shape. This is the part to be very careful of. Where have I drawn this? I have drawn this on this surface. The letter D, or the semicircle, has a thickness. That thickness has to come out the way, because what I've drawn is I've drawn the shape where it touches this part here. If I was to project this back, it's going to look wrong. Now that's quite a difficult concept to think about, but if you think about this is a sticker that I've just applied onto this surface. The two of these surfaces touch. If you look at the orthographics, this little semicircle sticks out the way. Now, if you also look at it, the letter D, or the semicircle, doesn't have, it has a second sort of semicircle coming in. I'm going to deal with that later. So how do we make this look thicker? You're going to take that point, this point, this point, and this point, and you're going to use your vanishing point. So if I take this one here, and you're going to project that line out a wee bit, the thickness of the circle, and it is quite small, but remember it's getting closest to, so we can make it a wee bit bigger. I'm going to take that one and project it out the exact same distance that I've done here. And this is where, if you wanted to, you could use a trammel. Okay, so same distance, semicircle here, same distance, and this one here, same distance. Right, so now what you should have is a series of new points. Okay, So you've got the semicircle for the back, formed by the first set of dots, and now because we've projected them forward, the thickness of that semicircle, we now have a new series of dots which I'm now able to connect. And then bring them down. Okay. This is the bit that is quite tricky, is then lining it in. Oops, that's not a great start. As I said, you should be at an advantage to me because you can turn your page. If I do that, it would go off screen. And so you're having to see my absolutely ridiculous attempt to try to line this in. Okay, if you are following this and you are doing higher, this is something called a tangent that we'll be covering later on. This is the widest part of the circle, and this is generally where the thickness disappears, because this thickness we will not be able to see as it disappears under. So the way to find the tangent is just, it's the biggest part of the circle. Right? So if I go here, it doesn't go, this is where it starts to disappear back under in itself. So if I just finish that there, so you can see that the thickness disappears underneath. Okay, so if you wanted to do this semicircle, it's on the inside, it's obviously the same distance all the way in. You can either try to freehand it if you're feeling particularly confident, or you can then start to like do your little cross again. Okay, so I'm just going to line this in to finish it. Now guys, I appreciate this might seem just so rapid fire, not having me there to come over and check your drawings. If you upload your drawings into the class notebook, I will be able to sketch on the top of them to help you with that. I'm just going to try and finish this drawing off while I'm talking to you. So if you're not sure what's wrong with your drawing, please just put it into your notebook. I can go in, I can sketch over it, I can give you feedback. Something just to bear in mind is I don't get notified when you upload something into your notebook, so you might want to drop me an email and just say, you know, can you have a look at this for me? Guys, that is literally what I get paid for. I am here to help. Please don't be sending me messages at like 7 in the morning and expecting a response, because that is not going to happen. But I will get back to you as soon as I can. So, lining this in, we can tell from the hidden detail that this has got a little bit that is cut out. Okay. Let's just line that bit in there just now. And then we've obviously got the thickness. We've got this one going back to this vanishing point. Nice. Okay, and then as I said, you've got your semicircle. You can bring that through and just sketch it in. So I'm just going to sketch it in because I'm feeling that we've covered that enough. If you disagree with me, I will happily do another video. Okay. Speaking of the videos, guys, if you feel that they are beneficial, please let me know, because I don't honestly mind drawing them. I actually quite enjoy doing the drawings just now. But if you feel that they're a waste of time, then let me know, because I could obviously just be going through and marking your drawings instead.